Hey sources and fans, it's Gloith here from Renegade Squadron. To continue our ship series, I would like to cover the Hornet Ghost. However, before I do that, I would like to give a shout out to TFCS and Dahlia Alpaca for joining the channel. Your support is greatly appreciated. Alright guys, before I review the ship, let's see what CIG's take is on this ship. Through the combination of low emission drives, low draw weapons, and void armor technology, capable of diffusing scans, the F7C-S Ghost is built for the pilot who wants to keep a low profile. The Ghost is capable of slipping past the most ardent of observers to accomplish whatever goal you need to accomplish. Don't worry, we won't ask. Alright guys, moving on to my review and guide for the Hornet F7C-S Ghost. So, what's really important with this ship is that it's not designed as a dogfighter. It is designed as a pack ship. It's designed to hunt in packs, whether it's with multiple stealth fighters or as that ship that's stealthily hanging out next to a buddy that's kind of a juicy target. You know, think your freelancers, you know, any type of ship that is likely to get targeted by another hostile. Or, you know, if you can bait somebody out, you can have this Ghost set up really close next to them. And if it stays close for at least 25 minutes in the same area, it can reach some very, very low stealth levels. We're talking about 1 kilometer of detection range. That is amazing. So this is a ship that's designed for camping, laying and waiting for somebody to make a bad choice and go after either some target that's next to you or somebody that's not paying attention. So do not expect a dogfight in this unless you want to die or unless you're really good and you know how to disengage. So keep that very much in mind. So first up, we've got our Hornet Ghost DPS version. And this version essentially uses repeaters. So we've got the Tiger Strikes on there and the Revenant. Now the reason why we've got Tiger Strikes is because the Mantis has an overclocking bug. For some reason, it doesn't get the full DPS or full overclock DPS, I should say. There's some type of bug. It's like it hits a projectile count limit or whatever, but it does impact it. So we're using the Tiger Strike, which fires a little bit slower, that takes more advantage of the overclock mechanic. Additionally, we've got a Revenant. Now, this gun is something that we really don't want to overclock unless we really have to. You know, if you see a big target or you've seen a lot of big targets, you probably can overclock it because you're going to be spending a lot of time on target. If you're not, I would not overclock it because what happens is that if you fire with that gun, it will continuously fire. So just keep that in mind. Next, we're looking with our missiles. So we want to go with our Tempest 2 missiles. And the reason why I want to do this is because they're cross-section. They do a ton of damage and they're hard to spoof. Next, we've got our Mirage Shields. And what's so important about the Mirage Shield is that essentially it allows us to have very, very low detection as we heat up. And I'll go ahead and show you that here. I want you to look at this value right here, power to EM and temperature to IR. So when the shield gets tagged, what happens is that it generates heat or EM, mostly EM. And what's gonna happen is it's gonna ramp up the more you get hit, and then it's gonna plateau. This is with any shield. The difference with this one is that it's gonna be very low. We're talking 15 to 2,000 versus something like, you know, Palisade, it might ramp up all the way up to, you know, 13,000. So there's a big difference between 1,500 and 13,000. So keep that in mind. And then it's also got a lot of regen. So it's got 342 shield HP per second, which is very important. So you're gonna try and dive in, dive out. Just be aware, bigger ships like the Harbinger and Freelancer, they can spot you. So just be very careful. You know, 1,000 to most ships is probably around 2,000 to them. So keep that in mind. And then we've got our Spectre Quantum Drive. And what's so cool about this is it's got low power to EM and whatnot and temperature to IR. So this is again gonna help you as you traverse a little bit, but just keep in mind for that full stealth capabilities, you really need to stay put on a local grid, for example, like Port Olisar, for example, for 25 minutes to reach that full stealth capability. If you don't, you're gonna be, you know, glowing. And I think another thing that's really important is that if you are warping around and you're working with some buddies and you want to know your detection range, talk to them. Say, hey, scan me. What's the closest you can detect me? And what you'll find out is that your opponent or your friendly, if they target you, they will actually tell you the true heat of your ship. For some reason, the internal MFDs are not correct after you warp. So just keep that in mind. And then for a power plant, we've got our Slipstream. And with this, we've got our, again, really low power to EM, temperature to IR, So if you're going to be constantly using a power plant, you really want to have the lowest here, because this is probably the most important, is the power plant and the snowblind coolers. So this is essentially going to keep you cool because you're always using them. So it's super important. So as you can see, we've got about 2,000 DPS. We've got a lot of missile damage. We got somewhat decent shields. To be honest with you, this is about as much HP as one FR66. So I know it's very tempting to put a high HP shield on here. You can, if you're going to do that, run a Palisade. And the reason why I say that is we're gonna go ahead and look right here. So Palisade has got 6 seconds to IR. So if you're heating up, versus like a Guardian, which is a meta combat shield, it's 12. So you're gonna really get hot if that glows. So I would say stick with the Palisade. Don't go with an FR76, but for the most part, you shouldn't be getting missiled. You should be playing very defensively. You're not the primary target. If you are, you gotta be very careful and make sure you've got backup. So keep that in mind. So we're gonna go ahead and flip that back to our Mirage. And then, yeah, we've got a power and cooling staple ship. So this is our awesome DPS build. This is the build you're probably gonna see me use in a lot of our videos that I'm gonna post after this. You'll see this. But I want to show you another one that's really cool, and I've run this before, and this is kind of our alpha striking one. So this is essentially, we've got Deadbolt. So this is a cannon build. The idea is that you sneak up on an opponent and you alpha them. So if you look right here, this has got 1,300 damage versus 107 for alpha damage. So you're going to hit them, you're going to surprise the living heck out of them. And the cool part about this is that they're not going to know what's happening. They're going to be freaking out. They're not going to even noticing that they're taking shots because you're hitting them multiple times over and over before they realize what the hell is going on. So that's what's really cool about this. The only problem with this is that this Deadbolt, the size 4, gets really hot really quickly. So just be careful. Other than that, it's a pretty good build. I run this once in a while, but because of the way everybody moves in the PU and because of the desync, it's really kind of forced us to more or less use the DPS, high dice roll, so to speak. That's why I go with this, and I would recommend you guys go with this one. So this kind of concludes our guide. So let's see some of this in action. All right, in this example, I'm helping my buddy Noman out, fighting this hammerhead, and out of the corner of my eye, I spot an Eclipse. And I'm thinking, okay, whose Eclipse is that? Is that one of ours? And it's not. So in any situation, you see an Eclipse on the battlefield, it is your primary. You take him out. And as you can see, we're lighting him up, making sure he doesn't get out, because once he gets away, it's possibly game over for the rest of my wingmen who are not in a Ghost. All right, in this example, we're looking at PO, making sure nothing's taken off, and sure enough, we have another Eclipse taken off. So we're gonna make sure he is not getting away. He's running from us. I'm on him, giving chase. My buddies are trying to find him. They can't, because he's just so stealthy. And I'm pushing in, looks like Overheat trying to catch up to him. And he's probably gonna be locking torps on me any second. Yep, and he's locking on me. I'm trying to lock missiles back on. I'm trying to kill him before he can even kill me. This is kind of a race to see who can kill who. Again, my buddies are unable to see him because he is so stealthy. This is why you do not allow Eclipses to get too far away from the group. So I'm taking him out. Finally, one of our guys is able to get on him and lay some damage on him. And yeah, he's gonna go pop. All right, guys, this is a perfect example of flying the Ghost, being nice and stealthy so that an opponent just engages one target that he thinks is all by himself. In this case, it's Noman by himself with a crime stat. Little does this guy know, Noman's got buddies because we're all stealthed up. So we're going after him, just shooting him. He's about ready to get EMP'd. And he gets melted even before the EMP goes off. So just a great example of a stealth ship backing up a bait ship. All right, in this last video, I'm here stalking this constellation who's just come into Grimhex, and he probably has no idea that I'm here. So I'm trying to sneak up and get nice and close to him without overheating, obviously. Just making sure I don't overshoot him, trying to get nice and close. All right, now that I'm close, I'm lighting him up. Putting that Revenant and those 3 Tiger Strikes on him. Getting some missiles off on him, trying to get that rear shield down. He overshoots and I start laying into him again. Trying to get more missiles on him. really trying to crack that shield because it's a lot of shield and he's got very little distance to make it back to Grimhex. Keep trying to work that rear shield down. I eventually swapped the leg pips just to get through that hull, and locking another missile, trying to get him. Get another missile off on him and shoot his rear out. Just such a fun ship to use. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure to like, subscribe, and comment on any of our videos during the month of September for your chance to win the Tefarin Talon Fighter. I'll see you guys next time. Renegade Squadron signing off.